would continue to work with the author and staff should this policy move forward, but we continue to oppose unless amend SB 790. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Other witnesses in opposition? Any witnesses with concerns in opposition? Let's hear from members of the committee. Questions, comments from committee? Senator Powell.
Mine will just be brief. I'm supporting the motion today as articulated by Senator Corbett, but Senator Leno, I am concerned about the application of the statewide measure, and I'm sure I'm not real comfortable yet with the whether it's cost shifts or implications on a statewide basis. I support what you're trying to do, and I think you certainly deserve to carry on the conversation and the work and investigation on this complex issue. But the statewide perspective still has, in my mind, has a lot more questions than answers. But look forward to you continuing the process. We've let out several bills today that are immediately works in process. It's the beginning of a 2-year session, and I think this is well worthy of our discussion.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Senator Fuller.
Boy, I have really appreciated the dialogue today. I really back the intent. I think there's a need for this type of bill, and but I have very deep concerns that we make sure that we've made sure that we have reliability and that we hold the original customers, all the other original customers, harmless. And I feel today like we really haven't got there yet to that place. I feel like we still need some more work. So I'm just in this huge dilemma because of our timelines and everything else, which is, I would really like to support the concept of this bill, but I'm just not comfortable. I'm just not sure we're there. And my colleagues, I sense, are feeling somewhat the same way. So, and trying to do this kind of complex amendments on the floor is really hard. So, I'm losing ground.
Senator, if I may, through the
Sure.
Chair's permission. Thank you for what I think is an expressed interest in the very foundational philosophy of our bill, which is to better provide opportunity for the creation of CCAs with always, and we've stated it repeatedly, complete respect and concern for the fair treatment of bundled service customers, and addressing, and we think we have, I know you weren't able to catch all of the amendments, which are all in print, and I, as a chair of a policy committee, know no one encourages amendments on the fly, but we also, and I don't believe that we have any here, but also recognizing the speed of our deliberative process here. All I could ask of you today is to support our amendments, to let the bill move forward. No guarantee of a vote on the floor, so that between the time this could leave the committee and the time we get to the floor, I could better make my case to you that, in fact, your concerns, as just expressed, are dealt with here in our amendments. I really do believe that. I don't believe that in any way are we being disrespectful or putting a greater burden on bundled service customers. And in my close, I will also address the suggestion that CCA customers are going to be treated in an advantaged way. So that's my case to you. Thank you.
Senator Rubio, followed by Senator Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question to the author. If we move this bill out of this committee, as I too am in strong support of amending, fixing, quite frankly, the process for ratepayers, citizens to establish a CCA. Particularly, I will add, given the fact that it was in my hometown, the fact that Prop 16 even made it to the ballot. I am particularly interested in moving forward and establishing a more just path to establish a CCA. With that said, I feel that there is still a lot of work that needs to be done on this particular bill. While we did move several bills today that are work in progress, this is one that has 9 pages of amendments that are very complex, and I would like to see. So, the specific question, Senator Leno, is this: if we allow this bill to get out of committee today, is your commitment to try to convince us that these 9 pages, as amended, even with the discussion today, is where you want to go and convince us to then vote for it on the floor, or are you committing yourself and the staff and the stakeholders to a process where we can further work on the 9 pages of amendments and try to develop a bill that many of us who believe in the intent ultimately want to support?
Certainly. I hope I demonstrated our collective and my individual open mind to make this an ever better bill, in very quickly acknowledging that you made a good point here in real time and that we're happy to delete those additional lines. So, as Senator Pavley pointed out, this is its first public hearing.
Good.
And there are many, many steps along the way. I do not expect, if we get a bill to the governor's desk, that it will be this one.
I'm glad you brought that up. If I can ask.
So to answer your question, yes, open to working with you and all members as it continues to move forward.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask you a question? In terms of process, been here 5 months. Can we, I don't know if the maker of the motion would amend that motion, but I'd like to see that, should this bill get out today, make it to the floor, get through the assembly, that it's not brought to question, but that this committee will require the bill to come back so that we can hear it, to see what its final form is before it's sent to the or before the Senate floor, and then off to the governor, so we can see to it that the work and product is something that we're all comfortable with.
Okay. I mean, I'd certainly I'm more than open to that, but we would want to exercise some judgment. If it's changed significantly enough from the version, should it leave committee today, it'd probably be prudent to bring it back for further conversation and dialogue. If what would be otherwise on the way to the floor is nothing other than the bill as amended by Senator Leno's amendments, I don't see what a follow-up conversation here on that would do different than the dialogue that's taken place today. And
Senator,
if it's
the reason why I bring that up is because it's much easier to amend a bill and try to effect change to it in this committee than it is the floor. So I think there is a commitment, at least from myself, to work with Senator Leno and the stakeholders to develop a bill that accomplishes our intent. But should we not know that we're going to have another committee hearing between now and the governor, then it might change our position.
And I wouldn't want to say, yes, this bill is going to come back to this committee before going to the floor, and that's going to be perceived as hostile by the author either.
After the assembly.
No, if it were to come back from the assembly, it's only an up or down vote on concurrence. You can't amend it.
I think Senator Rubio is asking a process question. So when a bill does come back in concurrence, it's certainly within the chair's authority to have a hearing on it, though amendments couldn't be taken once it comes back, but to vet whatever changes occurred on the assembly side.
Okay.
Understood.
Senator Wright.
We can't vote on it. Once it gets out of here, we cannot vote on it. It will just be up or down. Yeah. So
Once it leaves the Senate, if it's amended in the Assembly and it comes back on concurrence, it's only an up or down vote. We cannot amend it at that point.
You know,
It's always a little bit of a judgment call whether it comes back here on that concurrence vote or not. If it hasn't really changed all that much, there's usually no need. If it's changed significantly enough, then it's brought back to committee for vetting, but again, only on an up or down vote. You can't amend it when it's back on concurrence.
Okay.
Senator Wright, and then Senator DeSaulnier.
I've got a number of issues, Senator Leno. Unlike other people, I don't have any particular thing I'm trying to hustle you for a vote. The concern I have starts with, I think we have to be particularly careful when we're doing rate making in statute. There is there is a lot of just kind of sort of rate making in here that gives me concern, because that always bothers me. In the digest, it refers to the utility having market power. I'm not sure that the digest people meant that. Market power has a specific concern, and the utility does not have market power by definition. So, that was done in the digest. It's on page 4 of the bill, where it says electrical corporations have inherent market power. That's not true. Market power is a legal definition that was done in the DuPont case. That is the ability of a seller to raise his price without the ability of the other side having the ability to control it. Well, the utility can't raise the price because the price is governed by the PUC. So by definition, an IOU does not have market power. So this is just factually wrong. It's not, you didn't, someone else wrote that other than you, but in reading that, a utility by definition can't have market power. That's just wrong. The issue of the contracts worries me, because having seen what happens when the ability to ensure payment of contracts is in any way questioned, which was the genesis of my own AB 57, to go back to that scares me. Again, it might not be a big thing if there's only one city or two, but if you've got a bunch of cities and suddenly you have a number of contracts that are kind of questionable. The other concern we were raising is that we were confusing standby charges with resource adequacy costs. They're not the same. We were having a debate about ratepayer dollars being used. You can't legislate free speech. You can say to a utility that you're right, you can't use your ratepayer dollars to do something. But the PUC found, there's a definition of what you can do with ratepayer dollars. Political campaigns, for example, are not in that group. If they found that, they should fine them for it, because it would be illegal. They had a proceeding and concluded, and if they need to do another one, they should, that they did do that. The other one becomes the ratepayer.
Pardon the interruption here. We're just with one eye on the clock, not just because, but because the next committee needs this room in 15 minutes.
Okay, and that's fine. Those are my concerns, but I didn't want you to think I was just, I'm voting no, but I wasn't trying to say, I'm just no because it's Tuesday and I don't like your suit. Nothing could be further from
Senator Wright, with you in this committee, I never imagined that.
Senator DeSaulnier?
I'm going to vote no because I don't like Rod's suit. Senator Leno, I just wanted to ask you a question about the comments from the Coalition of California Utility Employers, and if you're taking those amendments, just the comments about what they do with their dues.
Sure. We did take, at Mr. Wetch's suggestion, an amendment so that we're amending our section, which his issue has relevance to our bill. He also has an issue that is beyond the relevance of our bill, but I'm not disagreeable to it. So I've told him I'm open to considering that as this bill, should it move forward, be further amended. There were points made that...
Is it the relevance to the bill got something to do with Senator Wright's suit, or is it something specific to what he talked about today? Because my concern is just, obviously, the utility employees, their ability to use their dues in a manner that I would consider appropriate.
Right, and relative to our code of conduct, which is the reference point in our bill, we've accepted that amendment.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Relative to our bill, but not to the whole world.
Anything further from committee?
Yes.
Senator Rubio.
Okay, given we're going to fish or cut bait here, Senator Leno, let me tell you what it's going to take for me to vote yes on Senator Corbett's bill.
Yes.
Because of the...
Motion.
I'm sorry, motion. With... Jeez. I just thought of something.
And Senator Rubio, also keep in mind that should the bill leave this committee,
yes,
before it goes to the floor, it does go to appropriations.
Clearly, I don't sit on appropriations,
okay,
though, so I wouldn't be able to affect
sure,
any
go right ahead.
Your page 3, I appreciate the amendments that you took on page 2. On page 3, with respect to cost responsibility surcharges, there is a lot of questions, I think, with respect to the 36-month timeline that you've afforded. If the PUC already has an obligation that electricity purchase contracts must be reasonable and prudent. I think the process can resolve itself there. So if you would delete the language as it pertains to the 36 months. The second amendment I'd like to see is on page 8 of the analysis, and that impacts page 6 of your amendments as it pertains to the union dues, the language that committee staff recommended. And if you can make those additional 2 changes, I'd like to support your bill so that it continues moving forward today.
So taking them one by one, again, and I will have Ms. Weiss have the final word on this, but my own understanding is that given that the current default would be 10 years, and that, as described, with so few CCAs in existence right now, as Ms. Weiss said, cloud cover. This is just dust in the system. It's so minimal. But we want that amount to grow. That's the purpose of the bill, so there could be more CCAs. But we don't think that even with that growth, as Ms. Hale described, there are long-term contracts for as little as 3 years, so that we think 3 years is sufficient, and that we give additional allowance in this language that the Commission may allow for cost recovery beyond those 36 months if a longer time period is required to prevent cost shifting to bundled service customers. So we don't think that there's any risk to bundled service customers, but at the same time, the default shouldn't be 10 years.
And I would appreciate the opportunity to work with you on perhaps differences that we are interpreting that language. But I'll tell you, I have issues with that entire section as it is currently written, as I have some issues with the 5% total peak aggregated load service by electrical corporations, but I wasn't going to bring that issue up either. And then the second point, with the appropriations, the floor, and the assembly still ahead of you, I would think we could work on these issues to establish the language to move the bill along. It's those issues that I'd like to see stricken from it now, so that I don't want to endorse that particular language with my vote today, understanding that it's a work in progress.
And our explanation of the 36 months relative to the 10 years has had some impact on your decision-making, or none?
None.
The reason, if I may ask?
It might work for Ms. Weiss, but is it going to work for Mr. Gonzalez in Bakersfield or Fresno? It just taking a one-size-fits-all for the state of California, I don't think works. And that's where I'm finding difficulty with it. And it's just, having read it in this committee, and then last Thursday once we tackled it, it's something that I've had reservations with up until this point. I'd like to work with you on it, and I'd like to start from a position where we have a clean slate and work on it, versus saying I'm endorsing this language moving forward.
All right, we're with you on that. And then you said also committee analysis page 8, our page 6.
Page 6. To adopt the committee staff's recommendation, which was on page 8.
Give us just a moment, please. Right, this is the... Senator Rubio, as I had said, I think at least 2 or 3 times so far, we thought that division, nothing in this division, we have nothing in this section. Division meaning a much larger universe, which really doesn't impact our bill. So we thought we'd be specific to our bill. That's why we said section. I've also said I'm open to having conversations with Mr. Wedge, because I don't philosophically disagree that union dues should be redirected, but it's not our bill. So philosophically, I have no disagreement with you. If that gets your vote, since I'm prepared to do it anyway, because I have no philosophical disagreement, even though division is beyond our bill, I accept your amendment and your vote.
Okay, if that's it, then here's what's happening next. Senator Corbett had made a motion earlier, which at this point, given subsequent conversations and amendments, is deemed out of order. I'm sorry. But I'll entertain a new motion by Senator Corbett
That's what I'd be glad to.
on this bill as amended, not only per the handout delivered by the author, but subsequent amendments agreed to by the author.
So as not to confuse anyone, could I just share with the committee the three amendments?
I think we're clear.
Okay, you're clear? We'll let it go.
And so we're going to take a vote
All right.
on this item. Unless there's anything further and compelling in a closed, Senator Leno. We do have one other item on the agenda that I believe can be dispensed with in a super fast fashion after the vote, and then we'll be lifting calls all within a span of about 4.5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything in closing,
Mr.
Senator
Chair?
Leno? Senator Corbett?
Mr. Leno, go ahead and speak, and then I'll just speak on the motion real quick.
As I said earlier, you've been more than gracious with the time. I thank for the committee members' attention to all the details. As amended, I ask for your aye vote.
Senator Corbett?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just want to, and you need to help me just make sure. So the motion will include the amendments that have been requested by Senator Leno, which are partially amendments that were suggested by this committee, with the addition of the ones that Senator Leno brought to our attention. And in addition to that, the amendments that were just requested by Senator Rubio, which were on pages 8, and I believe.
Yes, and in addition to that, some language changes to Senator Leno's proposed amendments by Senator Rubio earlier in the hearing.
Yes. The motion will include all of those. And do you want to make a restatement as to what those are to make sure we're all on the same page?
No, I think most of the members have
We all
followed it
understand?
closely enough to know what we're voting on.
Okay, very good. Then that's the motion.
Okay, and I'll just share. I don't think it'll come as a surprise to the author.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Chair, but I did want to say I make this motion with the understanding that there are still many issues that have to be worked on, I believe, based on some of the conversation today, and I would just ask Senator Leno to continue to work to address those issues, and I'll be following this as this unfolds and moves through the process as well. So with that,
Aye.
Okay, and I don't think this will come as a shock to the author. Not comfortable supporting the bill today. It looks like you may have the support necessary to keep this moving forward, and only because I think some of the areas that still need work are so fundamental to the principles behind our grid: reliability, stability, security, etc. Happy to continue to dialogue with you and work with you to craft a bill that addresses my concerns, but we have a lot of work between now and then. Senator Berryhill.
Yes, I do understand that we have a lot of work. I want to reiterate, you did take Senator Rubio's.
2 additional.
Okay. For me, this has been quite an exercise, very controversial, and I've been back and forth on this thing all day long. This has a lot of work to go on it yet. I'm going to give you a vote today to keep this thing moving forward, and we've got a number of folks within the Central Valley that are certainly backing this bill. I don't think it's perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I do think it still has some work to do on it, and hopefully when and if it comes back on concurrence, we'll get another shot at it.
Thank you, Senator.
Let's call the roll.
Padilla?
No.
Padilla, no. Fuller?
No, but I'm hoping that it can get better. Thank you.
Fuller, no. Berryhill? Berryhill, aye. Corbett? Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? Pavley? Pavley, aye. Rubio? Rubio, aye. Semidian? Strickland?
No.
Strickland, no. Wright? Wright, no.
Semidian. Let's put the bill on call. It'll be the last one we lift. Our next,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, Senator Leno. Our next item is by Assemblymember Skinner, a bill in special session. Shh, rambunctious Republicans to my left, please. Senator Skinner, we've seen the analysis, a couple minor amendments suggested. If you take them, I think we can dispense with this rather quickly.
Yes, thank you. And I just wanted to briefly say that this bill is one of the 4 bills of the Green Jobs package that was put forward by the Speaker and the Pro Tem. I am the person, in effect, authoring or sponsoring this bill because of the arrangement that was made between our Speaker and Pro Tem. This bill is actually a fix to a program that Senator Pavley put forward, the PACE program, which, due to the mortgage crisis and some problems with Fannie, the PACE program was not able to proceed as all had planned. So what this bill is a fix to that, and everyone is taking the amendments that the committee has suggested. The committee did some great work on it. I hope that this proceeds judiciously because we have passed now, most of the bills in the 4-bill package. It is a special session bill, and I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you very much. The bill is before us as amended. Witnesses in support. Quickly.
Jim Metropolis for the Sierra Club. We support this fix to have an
Very
alternative
much. Next witness.
program.
Nene Rotary, Treasurer's Office.
Thank you. Next witness.
Rachel O'Brien on behalf of the U.S. Green Building Council, the Union of Concerned Scientists, and the Alameda County Waste Management Authority in support.
Thank you. Next witness in support. Witnesses in opposition. Seeing none. Questions, comments from committee. Seeing none. Senator Fuller moves the bill as amended. Let's call the roll.
Padilla?
Aye.
Padilla, aye. Fuller? Fuller, aye. Berryhill? Berryhill, aye. Corbett? Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? DeSaulnier, aye. Pavley? Pavley, aye. Rubio? Rubio, aye. Simidian? Simidian, aye. Strickland? Strickland, aye. Wright? Wright, aye.
Okay. That bill is out.
Thank you so much.
We're going to lift the call on the remaining items. Let's take it from the top. Item number 1, SB 23, Senator Simidian.
SB 23, Simidian, current vote 8-0. Padilla and Fuller voting aye. Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? Aye. DeSaulnier, aye.
That bill is out. Next item.
SB 35, Padilla, current vote 8-0. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye. Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? DeSaulnier, aye.
Okay, that bill is out. Next item. Item 3 is on consent.
Oh, did you want to do consent?
Whatever. Go ahead.
Item 5, SB 343, De Leon, current vote 7-1. Padilla voting aye. Fuller voting no. Simidian? 7-1. Padilla, aye. Fuller, no. Current vote 7-1. Simidian? Strickland? Pavley?
Strickland, no.
Strickland, no. SB 343, De Leon? Pavley, aye. 8-2.
That bill is out. Next item.
SB 383, Wolt, current vote 6-2. Chair voting aye. Vice Chair voting no. Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? DeSaulnier, aye.
That bill is out. Next item.
SB 410, Wright, current vote 5-3. Chair voting aye. Vice Chair voting no. Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? DeSaulnier, aye.
Next item. That bill is out.
SB 771, Kehoe, current vote 8-0. Both Chair and Vice Chair voting aye. Berryhill? Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeSaulnier, aye. SB 790, Leno, current vote 4-4. Chair, Vice Chair voting no. De Leon? DeSaulnier? Aye. DeSaulnier, aye. Simidian? Aye. Simidian, aye. It's out. 6-4.
That bill is out. Next item.
SB 836, Padilla, current vote 8-0. De Leon? Pavley? Pavley, aye. Simidian? Simidian, aye. It's out.
That bill is out. Next item.
SB 879, Padilla, current vote 7-0. De Leon? Pavley? Aye. Pavley, aye. Rubio? Aye. Rubio, aye. Simidian? Simidian, aye.
That bill is out. Next item.
SB 905, Volt, current vote 3-4, chair voting aye, vice chair voting no. Corbett? Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? DeSaulnier, aye. Wright? Wright, no. That's 5-5. It needs one more vote.
That needs one more vote.
Do you want to leave it on call?
We'll leave it on call for one more minute. We have one other call to lift.
ABX 1, extraordinary session 14, scanner.
We closed the roll on that. That bill is out.
Okay.
Did we do the consent? The consent calendar is the last item.
Current vote 8-0, Corbett. Corbett, aye. De Leon? DeSaulnier? DeSaulnier, aye.
Okay, that bill is out. Let's lift the call one last time on item 14, SB 905 by Senator Wolf.
Current vote 5-4, De Leon?
That measure fails without objection. We'll grant reconsideration. If there's nothing further, this committee is adjourned. And our apologies to the Elections Committee for overstaying our welcome in our committee room today.